Well, Netflix, the online movie rental service, is now getting into content in a big way. The company going to develop an original series called House of Cards, expected to air late next year and star Kevin Spacey. For more, we are joined by the Director of Research at Horizon Media, Brad Adgate. Brad, good for you to stop by this morning. You have been talking about Netflix getting into content, and now here we go.
Yeah, well, it's a cliche, content is king, but anyone can distribute an acquired show. I mean, that's what makes YouTube so popular. So There's nothing differentiation about this, but now that they have original content, they offer something unique, and it'll help build subscriber base perhaps, but it is fraught with some risks.
What are those risks?
Well, first of all, no one's seen this show. Most of the shows they have is acquired, and you know how popular it's going to be or unpopular it's going to be. So it can bomb. I don't, looking at the names, it doesn't look like it, but that could certainly happen. And also, how much bandwidth is this going to take? The bandwidth hogs, and are people going to have to pay more for the internet service provider to get these shows if they use them more often?
But does it matter if it bombs in a way, Brad? I mean, this is sort of, it sounds like Netflix wants to do this.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it looks like things, they're looking at this, I mean, no pilot's been shot, and, they don't have a say in the production capabilities, but you look at the name, David Fincher just came off The Social Network, Kevin Spacey's won Academy Award, very, very well known, doesn't do a lot of TV. So, yeah, and the audience they're going after, it's the premium cable audience that HBO gets. So
how is this going to change the game or change the relationship between Netflix and the content providers then?
Well, they're kind of like frenemies, On one hand, they make money from Netflix because they're acquiring streaming content, which they didn't get before, but now they're offering competition. So it's a little bit different. I mean, in one hand they're friends, on the other hand they're enemies, and I think that they're going to look at them a little more wary going forward.
Who's going to look at them? You mean that
I think the
content?
Studios, yeah, the studios are going to look at this going forward. But the studios, if Netflix starts bidding on original shows, that's going to drive the price up to acquire these shows, and I think the studios will like that as well.
Right. Well, in fact, so how much do you think that it might go up then? I mean, what are we talking about in terms of premiums then paid?
Oh, well, right now it's $8 a month, which ironically is what it costs to get into a movie these days. So I think, there are questions about whether they can make this model work on $8 or $10 a month. You might see an increase in pricing, but, Netflix has doubled their subscriber count in the last 2 years. By the time this show could start, they're expected to have more subscribers than HBO, which is at 28 million. So they may not be able to have to raise their prices and just get additional subscribers to sign on.
Or maybe even if they raise their prices, they've got enough subscribers perhaps to cushion whatever fall they might see in the number?
Yeah, it's all kind of an interesting model that they're developing.
And the first real test of this, I suppose, of this relationship between the studios and Netflix is going to come when they renegotiate this contract with Starz, right?
I think that's what everyone's waiting for, is that, October 2008, they signed a deal for $30 million a year over 3 years. That deal expires later this year. People said that was a horrible deal for Starz, was a great deal for Netflix. Ironically, Starz has had their subscriber count increase, since the deal, where HBO's dropped, which is an interesting notion that Reed Hastings is quick to point out. But I think that going forward, that deal could be somewhere of $300 million or so, considering that they paid $200 million for EPIX, the rights for EPIX a year late last year, or earlier this year, I'm sorry.
But even so, I mean, even if they renegotiate it, you still say that there could be a door open, though, for a possible acquisition?
Sure. I mean, anything's crazy. Who saw this coming? Who saw that, because Reed Hastings said in January, when they did the earnings report, we have no interest in getting any original content, and here 2 months later, boom, the CEO changed his mind. And so it's possible that, they're talking to Starz, and maybe they'll get an equity position. It's not owned by a studio. It's owned by Liberty Media, unlike other competitors like HBO and Showtime. So I wouldn't rule anything out that this company does at this stage.
No, and as Jeff Bewkes has called it, the Albanian army certainly is not going away anytime soon, it seems. No. Brad, thank you. Appreciate it. Brad Adgate, the Director of Research at Horizon Media.